Welcome to Think About It. I'm Sylvia Henderson, your host, and I invite you, as always, to tune in, take what you see and hear, and, well, think about it. So today, I want anybody who is starting a business, in a business, growing a business, or any stage of their business, but mainly if you're in business, I want you to be listening and watching to this program, because we are talking to you entrepreneurs, you business owners in this segment. Now, if you work for somebody, then that's fine too, but this is a business owner segment. And I am thrilled to have my guest who has been just feeding into us business owners over the last 5 months, Russell Teter. And Russell, welcome to Think About It.
Thank you very much for having me.
And because the reason I want all these business folks and entrepreneurs to be on this program is because we're talking about, on one hand, normal business development items and issues, but on the other hand, how do we even up the game as we come out of a crazy time period and move forward right now, recording out of COVID-19, but really, and I just saw a Wall Street Journal article says the pandemic is just a dress rehearsal for the future. And I thought that was a timely article to read because it is about how do we come out of anything that's going to happen in the future as business owners and thrive. So I'm going to cut my talking as little as possible because we've got a lot to cover. So Russell, who were you with and kind of how did you get to making business development your business, your area of expertise?
I'm with the Small Business Development Center, which is based out of University of Maryland. And it's a long story how I got to this point, but I've been coaching businesses for over 25 years. 20 years was easy to say. Over 25 years, it's been harder to say. And I've coached over 14,000 business owners in all different stages, all different types of businesses. So I don't have that amazing entrepreneurial story. I bring in those people that do, but just the collection of information. And the key thing is for people to think and then take that and then build their business from that.
That's an interesting thing. I want people to think. That's not happening as much as we would like it to happen nowadays. And they always say common sense is not common. The thinking isn't either. So if I'm in a stage, to cover the whole range of types of businesses is just impossible in this time. So we're going to hit my questions to you with, I've started a business.
Okay.
I've started a business. Now what? It's running. We won't worry about, how well or how poorly it's running, but I've started a business. I've got the formation, down. I kind of know my clients. So, I'm in operation, but now I need to go to that next level. So, what are kind of the top, we'll start overview, kind of the top 3 or 4 areas to focus on to grow business and succeed through the good times and the bad?
I mean, right now, we're in a completely different economy than we were in just a few months ago. So regardless of how long you've been in business, doesn't matter what industry you're in, because there's such a drastic change, everybody needs to look at having a new business because it's a new economy that we're completely in, the COVID-19 economy or whatever you want to call it. So even Disney World needs to look at their money-making model as a new venture because the world has changed. So if you're in the survival mode right now, if you're in the recovery mode, so if you've lost more than 40% of your business because of COVID-19, I put you in that survival mode, just picking a number. If you're in that recovery mode, or you could be in the thriving mode, you could be in the right place at the right time, like a Amazon, and you need to look at it as new because things have changed so drastically in your business. Access to capital is different than it was just a few months ago. So even those businesses, so any business needs to look at where they are, where they want to go, and how to get from where they are now to where they want to go or be. So
So go ahead. Yeah.
looking beyond the situation, looking beyond the crisis. So um, businesses that I take people through what I believe as the model growth plan
Mm.
in modern day is Martin Luther King's letter from Birmingham jail. So just imagine if Dr. King stared at his circumstances when he was in prison, how the world would look different today. He looked beyond those circumstances. He looked beyond those prison bars. And there was a amazing 3 steps that he went through that I encourage all business owners to do. One is he thought in solitude.
Ah.
So he was put in prison, but business owners don't need to go to prison to do it, but is to think in solitude, look beyond it. Then write the internal plan. So you can look, and I believe it's in the Smithsonian, is the notes that he wrote when he was given a pad to write on. But then he wrote the external, and the external had a specific purpose of getting financing and creating the movement. So most business owners start with the third. They look at, I got to get that loan, I got to get investors, et cetera, and they forget about steps 1 and 2. They don't think, they don't spend that time thinking. And there's 3 questions that every business owner needs to ask themselves in that thinking part. Then they got to do that external. It could be on a notepad, it could be on the back of an envelope, whatever it is. I have a format that I help business owners walk through. But they need to look at where they are now, where they want to go, and then what are the major things that they need to do, that the roadmap, as I like to use the analogy, the roads that they're going to be traveling on to get where they are now to where they want to be a year from now, all the way to that ultimate goal. And then step 3 is writing that external plan. And in the library that I'll be referencing, I have a 2-page loan summary document that answers 95% of an underwriter's questions.
Wow.
And what an underwriter is looking for is the numbers. But you need to be looking at the numbers, looking at your money-making model for that internal plan. You need to be thinking in solitude, not in the busyness of the day, getting out of your business, getting out of your circumstances to look at the opportunities and the obstacles.
That's the working on and not in the business kind of concept. Yeah.
The E-Myth principle of working on your business, not in your business.
So I think one of the big questions as I listen to and I sit on seminars like yours, and I get the vision. I mean, as a business owner, the vision needs to be developed even to the exit plan. So I get that. Yet I know that many of my colleagues and me, we're like, but we don't know what the future holds. So how do you get beyond, how do you get through the unknown? Do you create your future in your mind and create that plan and then do your doggone best to make it happen, or what? How do you go through the unknown?
I like to use the analogy of going on a trip. So you're in your driveway, and there's people that just start driving and they end up while they're in circles. So I love the analogy of MapQuest, looking at your business as a quest, an adventurous journey, but looking at where you want to go. And what's most important is why you want to go there. So 80% of the time, again, I've been doing this for a long time, working with a lot of businesses, 80% of the time, the reason that they are not growing their business is because they can't answer the question, why? Why are they doing it? Why do they want the money? So if you can't answer that, you're not going to do the hard work. It's really simple to become wealthy. And there's 3 things you got to do to become wealthy. But it's hard work. And unless you have that burning white heat of desire to become wealthy, but why you want to become wealthy. Wealthy for its own sake doesn't accomplish anything. It's the why. Is it family? Is it, what are the reasons? So 80% of the reason why people aren't growing, I can trace back to that they don't know why. So that's the first thing I work with entrepreneurs is why do you want to go there? Why do you want to create it? The business model is a means to get there. In the analogy, it's like the car. So looking at realistic is where do you want to be in 5 years? Why do you want to be there? And do you have the money-making model, the car, to get you from where you are now to where you want to be? And working with businesses in the 2008 recession, I had so many business owners that they were focused on the car, their money-making model, and very upset that that wasn't working. And it's like, on the trip is, where do you want to go? Why do you want to go there? And yeah, if your car's broken down along the way, you're going to be upset. Well, fix it. If you can't fix it, get a new one. It's a means to an end, not the end itself. So in the COVID-19 economy, there's a lot of the fact that your car may not be working, your money making model may not be working, but if you have that burning white heat of desire of getting somewhere and why you want to get somewhere, then you see how you can get it fixed or you can get a new one.
That is, I want to go deeper into a couple of these ideas, but the thinking and the why are the two. You hear that. Oh, who is it who does the Know Your Why on the TED Talk? I can't think of his name right now, but while that's an interesting concept, what I'm hearing from you is even a deeper Know Your Why, kind of the big picture. What's motivating me overall? Yeah.
Why it's having, define how much money you want by a specified date. And most importantly is why do you want it?
Yeah.
Now, going to your specific question it's just like going on a trip where you need to look at the roadmap. You need to bring those people in that understand, the roadmap or people, things you can read, people you can talk to. So you have to do that, and I encourage you to do it in solitude, and you got to map out the most likely roads. But so I have those that don't think, that don't gather the information. But then on the other hand, there's those that have analysis paralysis. So you can't find the perfect roads. I mean, if you start driving to your fifth of the way journey, what are the major roads you got to take, then if the road is closed because of construction or traffic or whatever, you navigate around it because you have that burning white heat of desire to get to where you want to be.
So I want to, like I said, I want to kind of pick brain even more. We've got a little bit of time left before our break. Just so folks don't miss it, what's the resource to reach you and go deeper before we go to the break? And then we'll do it again second half.
So what I'm giving you is a very short, I have over 100 hours worth of material, and everybody can go to Maryland, spelled out marylandsbdc.org/accelerator and sign up for a virtual CEO accelerator library, which has all the content, the articles that I'm referencing, and more. And by registering for that, which is no cost, I can email you the password and username to get in and begin the journey, because it's really a journey. It's a quest. It's an adventurous journey of outlining where you are now, where you want to be, and what are the likely things that you need to do to get there. Nothing is, you're not going to be perfect. And looking at, following people that have done it. And everything that you read and look at has some sort of bias based on the author. you know, when it was written. I mean, Martin Luther King's letter from Birmingham jail was written in the 60s. So it has bias from that period of time and who wrote it and all that, but it's taking that and applying it to your situation. That's one of the key things that the Small Business Development Center can do, is to help you apply it. One of the quotes that I love that sums up the book Think and Grow Rich is, your same today should be in 5 years, except for the people you meet
And the books you read.
books you read. So if you want to change your life for the next 5 years, if you keep hanging around the same people and reading the same thing, you're going to be in the same situation. But if you want to change that, you got to change who you're hanging out with and what you're reading.
So we're going to need to stop for a minute. And
Okay.
then when we come back, like I said, I want to
I'll
go
give
a
you
little bit deeper.
3 ways to become wealthy.
Okay. Well, I know people are like, oh, how? So we'll be right back.
Okay.
I wish I was in school.
If only I had a math test today.
Or a book report to give.
I wish I was in school.
I'll stay after class. I'll clean the chalkboard. I'll do extra homework. I'll skip recess.
I wish I was in school.
I wish I was in school.
I really wish I was in school.
School ends, but free lunches for your kids don't have to. Find your local food bank at feedingamerica.org/summer meals for help. Together, we're feeding America.
Hello, welcome back to Think About It. I'm still Sylvia Henderson, your host, and we are still talking. I am still talking with Russell Teter of the Small Business Development Center, SBDC, at the University of Maryland. And we're talking about business growth as we move out of one crazy time period, which there are many of these, into the time to thrive. So when we took the break, we just started to talk about one of the people that has been my guiding light from the past, Napoleon Hill, and a book that I think every personal development coach and business owner has probably read, Think and Grow Rich, or Tiger, as many of us say. Kind of as we move forward in this half, you also dangled in front of us ways to get wealthy. And you said there's only 3 ways to get wealthy. So let's kind of bunch all that stuff together, and I'm going to hand the mic back to you to talk about that.
So the book you mentioned, Think and Grow Rich, which was published at the height of the Depression, which Napoleon Hill said that he was commissioned by Andrew Carnegie, and to write in words for the first time in known history of how to become wealthy. So historically, it was one generation telling another family member from another generation how to become wealthy. Andrew Carnegie was an exception to that rule. And he supposedly commissioned Napoleon Hill to research the 500th wealthiest people of the day and to put that into a report. So say, what does the Depression have to do with today?
Okay.
Well, there's a lot of similarities that we can make, but it's that document, that it's in a sense outdated, but the principles are sound, and the 3 steps that people have to take, not the 3 ways to become wealthy, the 3 steps that they have to take to become wealthy, is basically from his research. And so, that book was written and published in 1937, I believe. And it was written by a white male to other white males. And one of the things that Napoleon Hill did was he started to write Think and Grow Rich for colored people before he died. And he didn't finish it, and somebody else pick that up. And in the library, unfortunately, I don't have that entire book, but I have some resources for it. His granddaughter, I believe it was part of Think and Grow Rich for Women, both of which is made it modern day. There's other modern day things that you can find, because even the dollar amount in 1937 is different than, people say, well, that's not a whole lot of money, but in 1937, it was a lot of money. So there's other publications that modernize it, but I have the original one because it's in public domain in the virtual library that I mentioned. So looking at those 3 key steps that everybody needs to do to become wealthy is, one is follow those spending money. Follow those spending money COVID-19 economy. Yep. Number 2, solve their known problem better, faster, cheaper than the true competition. And 3 is communicate to them their way, not your way. So look, breaking those down a bit, one of the key words is to follow those spending money. Okay, it's spending. It's not necessarily who has money. So some of the wealthiest people I know are some of the cheapest people I know. Yeah. So it's spending money. So it's looking at who's spending money, solving their known problem. Businesses could have the cure for cancer, but if the person doesn't know they have cancer, you can't solve that problem. So it's what is their known problem, better, faster, cheaper, and to communicate to them their way, not your way. So those are 3 simple things, but they are hard work.
Yeah.
And that what goes back to as Napoleon Hill puts it, that burning white heat of desire. So if you don't have that burning white heat of desire, you're not going to do the hard work, because who spent money yesterday is not necessarily who's spending money today, is definitely not necessarily spending money tomorrow. Yeah. So it's always during the hard work to be finding who's spending money and to follow them. Their known problem, that changes. Who the competition is changes. So if you don't have that burning white heat of desire that to do that hard work, you're not going to be looking at solving the known problem. And then communicating to them their way, not your way. And I keep emphasizing it's those spending money, is that it's easy to communicate to somebody our way, but it's hard work to communicate to somebody their way. It's getting past all the biases that you have to be able to communicate to them their way, not your way. So, one of the illustrations that I love is the Apollo 13 story. And if one of the key things that people say on the Apollo 13 story is, well, the moon was their goal. No, it wasn't. Their goal was, remember what President Kennedy said, it was returning them safely to Earth. So the moon was just the halfway point. So it's looking at that ultimate, and those people in Houston and the people on in the astronauts, failure was not an option. So that's one of the key quotes from that story, is that failure is not an option, because they were going to not be like the Soviets and leave people in space. They were going to bring them home safely. So their halfway point changed, but their final destination did not. So with businesses, where you're looking for, because one of the key things that I really love about that story is, after the explosion, and the explosion happened with COVID-19, is, they were not going to land on the moon. It changed, and the flight manual to land on the moon, you would think had no purpose, but one of the key things that they had to do was keep the astronauts breathing after this explosion, and they could only work with the resources that they had on the ship, and the flight manual cover, became a key component of the filtration system, where they had to put a square peg in a round hole to get a filtration system to work. So it doesn't matter what something was designed to do, what it was created to do. What matters is what it does now.
Improvisation.
So,
yep.
So looking at all of the resources that you have in your business, it doesn't matter what things were created to do or designed to do. What matters is what they will do in the COVID-19 economy. And to be answering those three questions. And I can't emphasize enough is to do some analysis, bring other people in, read different things. The quote goes back to Charles Tremendous Jones is the one that said the quote, "You're the same today as you'd be in 5 years, except for the books you read and the people you meet." And that is right from Think and Grow Rich principles. Reading Think and Grow Rich, reading E-Myth, which is another thing, is in the library, the complete book of that and other resources. And then having that plan of getting to from where you are now to where you want to be, identifying those 5 major, that's a Rockefeller principle, the 5 major things that you need to do. But then that's your strategy. But most plans fail. So another resource, another reference point is the 4 disciplines of execution resources of helping to implement, deploy the plan, because you can have a great roadmap, but what's the point if you can't do it? You won't do it. So again, a lot of times it goes back to not having that burning white heat of desire for money 80% of the time, why businesses don't grow. So following those 3 steps, following those spending money, communicating to them their way, solving their known problem better, faster, cheaper, thinking in solitude, having that internal plan before you write that external plan, and looking at failure is not an option, and not looking at what things are designed to do, but looking at things what they can do now for you, because you only can build on what you have now, the resources that you have now.
God, I hope people have been watching this and taking notes, because we'll talk about some key words and key phrases. There have been many of them, and each time you mention a point, I'm like thinking about things that either have happened, or we're doing it, or we haven't done it and we need to sit down and do it. We, as my own business and business founder. And it's interesting that you mentioned Charlie Tremendous Jones, because I belong to an organization that he was a huge part of, but I am friends, not just I know her, but I'm friends with his daughter, Tracy Jones. And we visit each other. And she has taken those principles and, changed their business forward from the monster bookstore that they had to basically tremendous leadership. So it's interesting to have a personal connection to some of this too. Let's get into, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to mention is that looking at the money-making model, we talked about it. So I break a business down into 5 financial areas, and looking at creating a money-making model, that car to get you your destination, of increasing each of those 5 by 10%.
Okay, makes sense.
So that's not a whole lot.
But each of them, yeah.
But it has that compounded. So if you increase each of those 5 by 10%, it's a 61% increase in 5 years and 983% increase over 5 years. And I can do the math real quick because the business is all math. Mm. And one of the quotes that I love from a serial entrepreneur is, the math or no money. Mm-hmm. Your business is all math. So if it's not a number, you got to make it a number. So you can only improve what you can measure, and you can only measure a number.
Interesting.
So it's looking at, what can you do that can be a little faster, a little cheaper, a little better, and better has 2. quantity, which is a number, or quality. Quality is not a number, but you got to make it a number into having a rubrics. So I help break your business down into 27 core areas, and 9 of them in marketing, 9 of them in operations, 9 of them in organizational, and working on each of those 9 to make them a little better, a little faster, a little cheaper to get from where you are now to where you want to be.
And how do people reach you? And
so, marylandsbdc.org/accelerator. Sign up for the virtual library. It's at no cost. It's over 100 hours worth of information. I'll send you the username and password. You have my contact information. It's also there. The Small Business Development Center is here to serve you. My opening line to everybody that I talk to is, where are you now? Where do you want to be? And how may I serve you?
All right.
He is that we're here to serve you.
Awesome. Great place to close. Russell, thank you so much. And believe it or not, you covered a great overview.
I have so much more. I
know. And that's why people need to reach you. So as we come to a close, thank you for being on Think About It. And for viewers, to wrap up, I invite you, as always, to tune in, take what you see and hear, and, well, think about it. I'm Sylvia Henderson, your host, and stay tuned for the next show.